have goosebumps this entire time.
Incredible.
Talk that shit. Spirit is like, you better tell it, bitch.
She's telling it, bitch.
The Spiritual Shitshow Podcast with Suzanne Soul, episode number 6. Hey, motherfuckers. Welcome to the Spiritual Shitshow Podcast, where we get into the complete and utter shitshow the healing and spiritual awakening journey can be. I'm your host, Suzanne Soul, comedian, lifelong spiritual student, danceaholic, popcorn lover, occasional napper, and I have the honor and privilege to talk with the incredible Sharice Tareva. Sharice is a rebirth initiator, a term she trademarked, which encompasses her work. She calls herself a trauma mama and says she's here to free other women of their shit. Her words, not mine, but they're perfect, aren't they? I'd like to give a trigger warning. Sex trafficking is discussed. So I just wanted to let you know that. All right, let's get to this cute-ass motherfucking chit-chat with the lovely Sharice Tareva. Let's roll it, shall we?
Sharice! Welcome to the Spiritual Shitshow Podcast interview shit show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It is my absolutely tootful pleasure.
We're going to have a blast.
Okay. You are a rebirth initiator and a spiritual doula. Please tell me more about this.
So, spiritual doula came about from my clients. My clients actually dubbed me that. I initially started calling myself emotional doula.
Okay.
Because I am helping women rebirth themselves. But the rebirth was never part of my initial business.
Okay.
It didn't start as that. Mm-hmm. So then when I worked with my first intake of women in what was initially called the Phoenix Rising Academy, my one client was like, you are a spiritual doula.
Because
I'm birthing them. I'm helping them birth themselves back to themselves.
Beautiful.
So my tagline was, transmute your trauma into your triumph and journey back to your truest, most authentic self.
Oh my God, that's stunning.
Oh, thank you.
So rebirth initiator and spiritual doula, kind of the same idea or two different ideas?
I would say they are similar. I would
Okay.
say the rebirth initiator is the evolution of Sharice Tareva. So that's who I grew into initially. So like I said, my business was called the Phoenix Rising Academy. My mom passed in March of 2022.
Sorry.
And thank you. And during that, I went through the darkest time of my life. It was the most devastating thing I've ever gone through. I had to change everything in my life. I became a bonus mom overnight.
Bonus mom?
A bonus mom. So I have a younger sibling. I have 2 younger siblings, but one of them was, they were not a baby, but they were a baby
Very
to
young.
me. They were
Yeah.
17 when my mom transitioned.
Right.
So I became a bonus mom overnight. I was already their bonus parent.
Okay. You were helping
Because
out.
my mom has been sick my entire life.
Oh, okay.
But it was instant. So yeah, I became a bonus mom.
Wow.
I had to take a break from business because for me, I have to be in my integrity.
Yeah.
I can't give from that space. I needed to give to me. I needed to figure out who I was again after my mom transitioned.
Yes.
So I took a break. I took a 2-month break. I hired a trademark lawyer. I did all the things.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're taking a break because you're grieving.
Because I'm
and
grieving.
it takes time to grieve.
I'm still grieving.
And okay.
I think that there's a misconception in this world
Agreed.
that people are like, oh, time heals everything. And I think that's fucking bullshit.
Agreed. I fucking agree.
Yes.
And I just want to say, I don't know if you know who Ram Dass is.
I heard that name.
He's amazing spiritual teacher. If you haven't heard his teachings, all over YouTube's. But he was very active in being with people when they passed. He was like a death doula.
Yes.
And
Ooh, I love that.
you know, when the loved ones who were left behind here would come to him and say, I've been grieving. And I'm still grieving. And he says, how long you been grieving? And they would say, a year. And he'd go, oh, go grieve some more.
Yeah.
Because like what you're saying.
That the grief to me is the representation of how much you love that person.
Oh, how beautiful
So
is
I'm
that?
never, I got goosebumps.
Gorgeous.
I'm never going to
Oh my
stop
God.
grieving my mom because
too.
I loved her. And
Yeah,
like when
amen.
she transitioned, I felt exposed and naked.
Right.
And like I said, I think it's bullshit when people are like, time heals everything. I think that is people not wanting to dive into the depths of their darkness.
Beautiful.
I still grieve my mom. There's some days that I wake up and I'm screaming, crying
Oh.
because the person that birthed me is no longer here.
Right.
So it's fucked up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how
It's
else to
fucking
say
painful.
it. Yeah, I don't know how
I'm-
else to say it.
No. It is like, it's a rite of passage
Mhm.
when your parent dies. And I know that from my experience of my friends. My parents are still here at the
Thank
time of this
God.
recording. And, but I have friends, and it is a rite of passage to lose your parent.
It is.
And it is also fucked up.
It is.
Because it's really fucking painful.
It is. There's no preparation for that.
Right.
And like I said, my mom was sick my entire life. So
Yeah.
mentally, I thought I prepared myself.
Right.
But you cannot prepare to lose your parent.
I mean, it's like, it's its own unique experience.
It is. When people are like, I understand. And I'm like, well, did you lose your parent? And they're like, no. And I'm like, so then you don't understand. Just like, I would never work with somebody that I didn't go through an experience because I wouldn't be able to relate to them.
Right.
I wouldn't work with
Right.
men because I don't, it doesn't fit for me.
Right.
I wouldn't work with somebody who wants to conceive. Like, I can't teach you that.
Right.
But I could teach you how to dive into your fucking trauma. Like,
Beautiful.
that's my thing.
Beautiful.
But yeah, grief is going to last for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And in that grief, I had to just become a different version of me.
Reinvent yourself.
Reinvent
Okay.
myself, rebirth. It just was I'm not the person I was before my mom died. It's like when she died, that version of me died. So I
Yes.
had to figure out who I was going to be moving forward. Like there was that time where it was like, am I staying here or am I leaving? Like it was that dark for me.
Yeah. Oh,
And I know that
gosh.
people don't like to talk about that and there's a stigma around it, but that was real. That's how I felt in that moment.
People experience those moments.
It was like I had to fight to choose to stay here every day for like the first maybe year.
God bless you, honey.
And I say that time was the most devastatingly beautiful
Right.
time of my life because both are allowed to exist at the same time.
Yes.
I lost my mom, but then I became a bonus mom. I have goosebumps this entire time.
Incredible.
Talk that shit. Spirit is like, you better tell it, bitch.
She's telling it, bitch. So wait, let me just ask you, when you say you were reinventing yourself, what do you feel a difference in from the person that you were prior to your mom's passing to now, and when you were reinventing yourself? What feels different about you to yourself?
A lot of things feel different. My temperament. I would say my mom, even though my mom was sick, I could really go to my mom for anything.
right,
And
right.
like if I was fucked up, I would go, Mom, I need your help.
Yeah.
And
Unconditional mom.
I can't do that. So in a way,
Wow.
I was like forced to like really grow up. Like I thought I was grown before because I was taking care of my mom at one point financially. We were living together, all the things.
That is an adult thing to do.
Yeah, and me and my brother and my youngest brother at the time, we all caretook for my mother.
That's lovely.
It is beautiful, but it's like then I didn't have anybody to care for but myself.
Right.
And my younger siblings. So
So who was there for you?
that was So while I was grieving the loss of my mom, I was also being a bonus parent, and I really was being their mom.
Wow.
While losing my mom. So it was like it was parenting them while also reparenting myself.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, I just want to give you props for being able to ride those two experiences at the same time.
It was not easy.
I mean, to be
Thank
able
you.
to not neglect yourself
Oh man.
while you are having this experience of being a bonus mom. Now you're kind of stepping in as a mom role to your siblings and all that responsibility. And then on top of that saying, and I have to reparent myself. I have to find out who is Sharice.
Figure out if I still wanted to do what I was doing.
Right.
Because there was a moment where I wanted to stop.
What were you
thank you.
doing?
Hold on. I'm practicing receiving. So thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Like I really want to receive that. Thank
Please
you.
do.
Thank you
it's
so much for saying
extraordinary.
that.
Extraordinary.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I fully received that.
Yes, please do. I feel
Got
great now.
goosebumps.
How about you? Was it good for you?
So good.
We have been received. So, what you were saying, you wanted to stop what you were doing.
I wanted to stop coaching and
Okay,
stop
so you
being a
were already
mentor.
coaching prior to.
Oh, yeah.
Before your mom's passed.
Yeah, I
on.
was.
Okay.
I had the Phoenix Rising Academy.
Okay.
I had a few intakes of that, successful intakes
And
already.
tell us what Phoenix Rising Academy was.
So the
at the
Phoenix
time.
Rising Academy was a 12-week program that I walked women through to learn how to love themselves
Oh my
and
God.
to ultimately transmute their trauma into their triumph. And like I said, I had a couple intakes of it, and I actually was like,
Intakes. Can you be more?
oh yeah,
explain that what
intakes
that is?
are containers. So every 12 weeks, like I would run a new container. So let's say my first container started July 11th of like, I don't know, 2021. I'm just making up a number, and that actually might be accurate. But it went on for 12 weeks. I had women go through it. Then they joined my alumni program because I believe in integration.
When you're saying container, are you saying like a course?
Like an online course.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you
Carry
for
on.
asking. Sure will.
You know, I don't know the online coaching lingo. So
I'll bring you up to date, baby.
She's like a thesaurus. For online coaching lingo.
A sassy one. No, that likes to
Sassy.
fucking cuss.
Sassy coach.
So I would move them through these 12-week containers, and then they would move into my alumni container, which is where the integration process happens.
Beautiful.
So I believe that in the coaching space, like, you know, there's 13-week programs, 3-week programs, or 3-month, and then they're like, okay, you're done. And it's like, but if you're working through dark shit like we work through in my program, you need somewhere to land, because just because you've gone through the program, you are not healed.
Right.
You're going to still need that guidance. You're still going to need that mentorship and a safe space to be able to express yourself. So
it never ends. The
healing
is
never continuous.
Okay, let's say that together.
Yes. Healing is continuous. Oh, I love you.
.com.
Hello. Hello. You better somebody trademark that shit.
Hit your camera. Hit your camera. You got to mug your camera. Hey. Hey, camera A. Hey, camera B.
It's
So
a
anyway,
thing. People, you know, and there's a false belief, especially on the online space, because there's a lot of coaches on the online space, and there are a lot of coaches that lack integrity, and they're telling you, come work with me and I'll heal you. And it's
and that it will be done.
that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
Once, if you're on this earth, you are healing.
Right.
You are living.
Always.
When you go back to from which you came, then you're healed.
Right.
There's no point in being here if you're healed.
Amen.
Now, don't get me wrong. I believe that diseases are curable, right? I believe that there are physical ailments that are curable, but you're still going to be healing after you're cured from that ailment.
Your humanity is always in a healing mode.
Tell it.
Okay. Thanks so much. So we had the Phoenix Rising Academy.
Yes.
We have coaching. We have online courses. Then we move people who have gone through the first container.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning all the lingo now.
Yes, you got it.
I got it. Did I get it right, teacher?
You got it.
And then they are moving on into a more like, okay, now we're here in this new level of the container of the core.
I call it Rhea Reborn.
Rhea?
Now I call it Rhea Reborn.
Now it's called Rhea
Yes.
Reborn.
Mhm.
R-I-A.
Yes.
And that is second level? Or is that the whole thing?
I would say the first level would be the 13 weeks now, but back then, if we're talking about the Phoenix Rising Academy, it was 12 weeks.
Okay.
The second level would be Rhea Reborn now.
Got it.
Back then, it was just called my alumni.
Understood.
And that is where you continue. You can stay in there for the lifetime if you want to. You don't ever have to leave that space. I'm never kicking you out.
Oh my God.
Something I do now in my current intakes is I include 3 months for free.
Beautiful.
Because we're diving even deeper. Like in my own rebirth and my reinvention, I realized that I no longer am speaking to women that just have general trauma. I am speaking to women that have deep sexual trauma.
Right.
And rewiring that and bringing that shit to the surface.
Yes.
It is my responsibility to not just kick you out into the world and act as if we didn't spend 13 weeks together unpeeling layers and learning the darkest shit about each other. Because I don't just obviously I allow them to share, but I bring some of my experience in it also to make it to let them know, like, I know exactly what you're going through.
Right.
I've been through that. I've been through this.
Yes. And I want to tell that story, but I first want to ask you, so you've reinvented yourself and now you are a new version that what? I'm a new version of myself who now
is a bad bitch.
She's like, bad bitch! Oh my gosh, where do I sign up for this course?
But no, I'm a new version of myself, and I call myself the Rebirthinitiator.
Yes.
That all came along by accident.
Right.
Well, not accident, because nothing is by accident,
Right.
but divinity, like, played a part in me calling myself that, naming my program
I love
that. And
because from loss, when we let it all crumble,
mm-hmm.
that is when
Mm-hmm.
the rebirth,
Yeah.
like you're saying, happens. And if we're letting life, like if we take what is happening to us
Mm-hmm.
and allow ourselves to go through the pain and the grief, we will evolve
Mm-hmm. And be reborn.
and be reborn.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I just want to also say, you call yourself Trauma Mama.
Yes, I'm your trauma mama.
I love this so much because I think we all need a trauma mama. I know I need a trauma mama. So what does that mean?
That's something else that my clients dubbed me.
Okay.
And somebody that I worked with, she brought it up. She's like, "You're a trauma mama," and I was like, "I kind of like that.
Yes.
That kinda goes, girl."
Yes, because
But because I'm so nurturing when you're in my container to share those deep dark moments. I call my women that join my container sisters. So they're all sisters, and
love that.
I am the trauma mama, and I am the safe space and the landing, the soft landing that I think every woman that has experienced any form of physical trauma deserves to land in. And I'm sassy too, but it's soft and sassy.
And I think it's because you, using the word container in a new way, different way, have the container to be able to tolerate and to hold their trauma. And because I just want to say that I have been to, I've had different spiritual counsels or counseling or coaches and therapies, and you can suss out the ones that can't handle it. And he's like, I'm not going to get anywhere because this person is trying to overthink my healing, and we're not going to do that. So, but you have that container because you have been the phoenix rising of your own life.
Absolutely. Ew, got goosebumps again. Everything, like you said, the loss, everything that I've been through.
Yeah, please
and
tell
I didn't
us.
even know that. Do you want me to start sharing?
I want you to
some of
share.
it? So I say one of my biggest traumas, sexual traumas, is I was groomed by somebody when I was 19, and I was kidnapped and forced into human sex trafficking. So to go through that at such a young age, I've experienced like domestic violence. Just there's so many layers to it.
Yes.
And I used to like just pretend it didn't exist.
Okay.
And then I went to therapy, and then they just wanted me to talk about it and re-traumatize me and just keep bringing it up. And then I would experience it again in my body.
Yes.
But then they gave me no tools to regulate or self-soothe afterwards.
Right.
So going through that alone, I was on a journey. I already started, and the way I got out of that was really spiritual, like an earth angel.
Please tell me.
So the guy who trafficked me, I got smart, so I'm not a dumb broad. Okay,
I love that about you.
I'm not a dumb broad. I started hiding in the casinos at some point and playing.
Were you in Vegas?
No, we were in Atlantic
City.
Yep.
Atlantic City, everybody.
And I later went back and transmuted that and alchemized that and worked at the best casino in Atlantic City. So, and my dad brought that to my attention, actually. It went over my head when I was telling him, because I shared this with my father about the traumatic situation that I went through. But I used to hide in the casinos. Back then, Sands was open, so I would hide in Sands. There was a beautiful cocktail waitress. She was tall, light skin with like red hair, and she would let me sit in there because I was underage. I was 19. She would give me Shirley Temples and she would like keep an eye on me. And I was like, wow, that's really sweet. She's an earth angel too.
Yeah.
But I had a quota I had to meet every night, $325.
Okay.
And I would go in, he would give me $20 to start the night. I would go in with my $20 and I would win $325 every fucking night. So I initially was trafficking. I initially was a sex worker, right?
Yes.
But then I got smart and I was like, I'm just gonna hide in the casino. If the penny slot is giving me $325, like why wouldn't I just take the $325?
My gosh.
So one night I was walking out, and the thing that people mistake about me is they're like, oh, well, you were trafficked. Did you do anything? And it's like, this sassiness, this has always been here. So on my way out one night, I was like, where the fuck are you? I'm ready to go. Like I was cussing him out because even though he was beating me up, I was still fighting back.
Yes.
I was still myself.
Right. Wow.
And I was walking to the car, and him and his brother at the time, who was the guy who convinced him to even traffic me, hopped out the car, and they were like, Reese, run. And I was like, run? Motherfucker, I'm ready to go. I don't want to run. And I turn around, and there's a gun in my face. And I turn to run, and this guy is shooting at all three of us.
Oh, my gosh.
Now,
there were
this
3
is,
girls?
No. 2 guys. My pimp or boyfriend,
Right.
pimp, whatever
yes,
the fuck you want to call him.
Was, yeah.
His brother and myself.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And this is where it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
So running across Pacific Ave, I think it's called, where all the casinos are, you don't do that without looking. I remember taking 3 steps and then being in the store on Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Right. You were in autopilot.
But I got in the store first.
Yes.
I was behind them running. So I got in the store and I was like, damn, this is what heaven looks like. This shit sucks. Because I thought, well, I got to be dead if he was shooting at me.
I died and went to a
I was
convenience
like, a
store.
convenience store? I was like, this is some bullshit.
You're like, oh my God, this soda's $3.99 in heaven. These prices in heaven are ridiculous. I could get this at the grocery store for $1.
Heaven? Does heaven have a discount?
That's right.
So I got in the store first, and I remember touching myself and being like, fuck, this is stupid. Like, why am I here? And then the brother came in, and he was like, Reese? And I was like, and it was like one of those moments where it was like, do, 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 do. And then he came in, and he was shot 4 times with no exit wound. Yeah. Oh so, and I get goosebumps because before that same night, I was told I was not allowed to talk to men that look like me. So I don't identify as a black woman. Okay. I am a Moorish American. My family comes from Morocco. Okay. I am nationalized.
Yes.
But they told me I could not talk to black men because that was a thing. Like they didn't want them to take me. I don't know what what the thought process was, but that was one of the rules. Okay. And in order to do that job, if I didn't get the $325 from the slot machine, I was going to have to do it. Right. So I would smoke a lot of weed back then. Yeah, so I tried to buy some weed from this guy, and actually, it wasn't that night. That was like a couple nights before this. And me and this guy are walking, and I'm like, I can't be seen with you. I just want to buy some weed real quick. Can we hurry up? So he's like, yeah, let's walk to this blue house. And I'm like, okay, just give me the fucking nickel bag. Like,
yeah.
So we're walking. He takes me to the back of this blue house, and he pulls a knife on me. Geez. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to rape me. Oh. That was my first thought.
Yeah.
And he was like, listen. And the whole time we're walking and talking, he's talking spiritual shit to me. The spiritual shit show.
Oh.
He's talking spiritual shit to me, and I'm like, why is this drug dealer prophesizing? I just want a fucking bag of weed. Like, I don't want to talk about this shit. And he tells me with this knife to my neck, he goes, listen, if you keep coming out here, you're going to die. Oh, my gosh. He goes, this is not your birthright. Your birthright is to be royalty. Like, he starts, prophesizing to me, and I'm getting goosebumps again. Ooh. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, so strip. And I'm like, he is going to harm me. And he was like, I'm not going to hurt you. And I was like, what? He was like, give me your $5, give me your phone, take your clothes off, and your stuff will be waiting for you at the end of the street, and don't come back out here.
So you were saying you were working in the poker room. You are poker massage.
There we go.
So if anyone doesn't know, they have a person in the poker rooms of casinos for people who play for like 3 days straight.
Or just regular if you're playing like a poker tournament. Okay. Yeah.
Who will massage shoulders, hands, arms, feet,
legs.
Okay.
Scalp.
Let's go play poker and get a massage. Okay. So you were doing that, and then you had your epiphany.
Yeah, I was like,
about-
wow, I'm still trading time for money.
Yes.
And
beautiful.
like I said, I was the
Ooh.
best poker massage therapist. Okay.
She was what?
The best.
The
Poker
best.
massage therapist.
Best poker massage therapist.
Hello.
Please,
And I just would grind for like 15 hours.
Wow.
And, you know, my motivation was to take care of my mom and my sibling at
Yeah.
the time. And it's like I kept every job I had after trafficking up until poker massage. It was very much still dry trafficking.
Right.
If we're going to call a spade a spade.
Right. It was the hustle.
Absolutely.
Right.
And when I started working with my life coach, we started to really unpack it. And I can't remember when I had that epiphany, but it was like, oh shit, my mom has cancer, stomach cancer. It's related to her being, because you look up the meridians. She
Right.
was holding her large intestines,
Okay.
but she said stomach cancer when she told everybody. And I looked up the meridians, and the energy that runs up and down that line is a submissive energy. So me being me, I
Yes.
ran back like, oh, all you have to do is get rid of the submissive energy. And my family could have like hung me. They were like, what are you doing? Don't say that to her. And I was like, but that's, to me, it makes sense.
Right.
But I live in a different realm.
Right. Yes.
I really do.
Yes.
From most people.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying so much because, you know, I also, in my family, and I say, you know, I knew at a very, very young age that there was more than what I was experiencing. Like that there was another, a connection that I had, a spiritual connection, and that there was a spiritual life that was occurring at the same time as our as our material physical world, right? So there's the physical world and all this is happening and all this drama, and then there's the spiritual a level of existing as well, and life that is that we have a connection to, and that we can like see our lives from our humanity, and we can also see our lives from our spiritual nature.
Absolutely.
And so I also, you know, have, you know, love my family, but sometimes I think they were like, what is she talking about? What is she? Who is this person? And how did she get into our
get
family?
dropped off somewhere?
That's
and
right.
We just
I swear to God, I think that my family was like, somebody must have just dumped her off here.
literally. I'm so completely different.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yes,
It's
I love it
actually my
too.
superpower.
That's right.
I feel like people like us
Yes.
are what I like to call cycle breakers.
Yes.
We are the black sheep of the family.
Right.
And there's always, especially in this day and age, we get dropped. And there's one person that is going to piss everybody off. And
Scapegoat
hi, y'all.
slash cycle. It's like generational trauma breaker.
Absolutely. Like I said, it stops with me.
That's right,
I am
and I
that person
love that.
I'm very much like, oh, okay, that happened to my mom. Like, cool, I'm not going to perpetuate that.
Right.
Like, oh, I watched my dad. I'm not going to do that.
And so, what did you say to yourself? I'm not going to perpetuate that. I'm not going to do that. And what am I going to do to break that cycle?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? What are the
It came
things?
down to me doing my own inner work.
Okay.
And that looked like working with my life coach,
Right.
hiring different mentors. And now I did have a spiritual therapist. And even now I have a spiritual mentor / therapist.
Love
So
that.
if you don't play both sides,
Right.
I don't fuck with you.
Right.
Like,
Right. But I mean, I honestly think
I need
that healing from very difficult trauma,
Mhm.
I honestly, for the psychological work stuff that I had to go through, and I know you had to go through to kind of sift all out. If I didn't have the ability to have a spiritual view of it all, I don't know that I would have been able to move past it.
I agree. Because it is what's the word I'm looking for? It could be so damaging.
Yes.
To your psyche.
Yes.
And if I can't play in both realms, like if I can't dance in the ethers and dance down here on earth, it would almost that's just not who I am.
Right.
It would almost be like, I wouldn't be living in my purpose, or I
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing what I was supposed to do.
It's like where you get your power.
Absolutely.
That's what I feel too.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think that it's so interesting that people separate them so much. Like, they're
Right.
like, oh, that's the spiritual girl. And
Right.
it's like, no, I'm just a bad bitch. That
That's
just
right.
happens to be
You're
tapped
a
in.
spiritual bad bitch.
Yes, that's
Okay.
spiritual bad bitch.
Yeah.
Literally.
Okay, so you have this epiphany, you start working on yourself, and then you get to this point where you're like, okay, I feel like I've overcome and I've moved through and healed so much that I must give this back.
Didn't quite happen like
Okay.
that. I fought it for
Tell
a
me
while.
more.
I fought it. I knew that at like maybe year 2 or 3 into poker massage, I was like, this isn't it for me. I actually can't do this anymore. But the money was so good that
Okay.
I stayed.
Well, then maybe I'll go apply for a job.
Don't
Poker
do it.
massage.
And then I started working at like private clubs, and like some of them were great. Like some, like I worked at one that was like, I loved it. And it depends on the people, right? And there was one particular one that I could not stand. It's all about energy for me at that point. It was like, well, if I can vibe with you and you're kind to me, and like I can read the room, and there's nobody here that hates me because of how I look or because of my gender, like I can vibe here.
Okay.
But it became, I knew my purpose was bigger. I started diving into all the things. So
Yes,
I got
that happens. That happens. You start to like be like, I'm supposed to be doing something.
Something
I feel like I'm
else.
supposed to be doing something, and it's about, you know, my human journey
Absolutely.
and my
Absolutely.
spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I knew that I got my numerology chart done,
Yes.
and my life achievement number was a 4/22, which is a master number, which
Okay.
means that life for me was going. I vibrate on such a high frequency
Yes.
that if I'm not doing the things, the self-ish, the meditating, the journaling, the pouring into me, whatever that looks like to fill my cup first, I was going to have a hard time. But also,
me too.
yes.
Yes.
The 4/22 means that I came here to build something that was bigger than myself,
Yes.
that was going to help a lot of people. Now, I could ignore that, but it was always going to pull at me.
Right.
So
it does. It doesn't leave you alone.
it didn't leave me alone. And then when 2020 happened, when COVID hit,
Yes.
it was like it pulled at me in a way that it didn't pull at me before. And I was like, oh, well, the poker club is shut down.
Yep.
Like,
Now's the
I'm
time.
not doing anything.
Yeah.
So let me actually get out of town and go somewhere where I could just go to the beach and not have to like answer to anybody first. Have my autonomy, and let me like dive within this.
Yeah.
And I
just be
still
with
fought
myself.
it. I accidentally hired my business mentors, and they helped me build what I had been doing already for years.
Just randomly as friends? You met them?
No,
or
I met them through my womb healer at the time.
Okay.
So she introduced me. She was like, hey, I'm taking this course. We should take it together. And I was like, yeah. And I don't even talk to her anymore, which is interesting. So it's like all these beautiful synchronicities happen.
Yeah.
And they led me to this moment right now.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
And I fought with them too. I was like, yeah, I just want to do the inner work part of your program. I don't
Yeah.
care about the business aspect.
Yeah.
And then it became very clear and loudly, like through my astro travels, through me talking to women, that like this is what I was supposed to be doing.
Love that.
And I couldn't
love
fight
that.
it anymore.
I love when that feeling just lands right in your heart.
It was like, okay, this is what we're doing. Fuck it.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
So you now have a coaching business
Yes.
and online courses.
Yes.
And the name of the website is?
My website is Sharice Tareva, which is SHA Rice, TAREVA.com. But my program is called the Rebirthinitiation Academy.
Because you are helping women rebirth themselves.
And it's an initiation when you come into my space.
Yeah.
When you feel that call, that's your initiation.
Yeah.
When you are willing to turn around and face that little girl who was harmed, that little girl who was told that she wasn't enough,
Right.
you're going to experience an initiation that is going to later turn into a rebirth. And it's a school, like this is the school of life.
It's later going to turn into a rebirth. And that means you are going to evolve as a new person through who you were, your trauma, and now new.
Mm-hmm. Yet this more evolved, more mature, more in tune with herself, this version of you that has allowed your inner child to feel safe,
Right.
that protects your inner child,
Yeah.
this version of you that takes responsibility for your healing. Because I say this all the time, the things that happen to us were not our fault, but it is your responsibility to
Yeah.
get your healing.
That's exactly right. That's
We
exactly right.
cannot,
Amen.
we cannot,
because
nobody's gonna do it for
no
you.
one's gonna do it for us.
And again, it's not your fault,
Right.
and your feelings are valid.
Right. And it's so much, I think, a part of, that healing and that rebirthing is rebirthing your power,
Mm-hmm.
because
Taking
you're
it back.
taking your power back.
Yeah.
But you're taking it back after going through something, so what happens, and then the darkness
Mm-hmm.
that you are left with.
People like to skip that part. People like to
That's,
skip the
I mean,
darkness.
because our culture wants to skip
It's
that part.
pretty.
No one,
It's
it's a
glamorized.
new thing, which I'm so grateful that people are starting to go, you have to sit with it, you have to be with it, you have to allow yourself to grieve, you have to,
Absolutely.
because it's, get over it, it's already over.
Yeah, it's get back to work.
And nobody's doing well with that one.
No.
No one is doing that.
We can see that.
We
in
can
the
see
world.
that. We can see that in repetitive cycles of abuse and trauma within families.
Mhm.
The forget about it and move on. That's your
The what happens here
person or
stays
your
here.
whoever it is. That's your this. That's your that. This is not working, kids.
Mm-mm.
Because what happens is you do that, and then you have kids, and then you traumatize them,
That part.
and you abuse them.
That part, which is why I haven't had children yet.
Yeah,
One of the reasons.
yeah. I opted out completely.
Yeah, I still want some beautiful babies.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But the shit that happened in my life will never happen to them as long as if it's up to me.
Right.
So
You're not going to pass
absolutely
that messaging
not.
on.
It's
Yeah.
irresponsible, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
When people are like, "Well, why haven't you had children yet?" And it's like,
Yes.
it would be irresponsible of me to go and have children knowing that I'm still working on something.
I felt the same way.
Yeah.
And then I decided at a certain point that
Good for you.
that's what I knew that my path was not
Good
to
for
have
you.
kids, because I feel the same way. Where
love that you chose that for you.
I did. Thank you. Because I also like my freedom.
I'm mad at that.
But yes, but it's like I knew I have to do this, and I have to get through all of my wounds and pains and scars, and then I have to do what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and be silly about it,
Yeah, why not?
but also be real and truthful.
Yeah.
So before we go, first of all, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story,
Thank you for having me.
taking your pain as a human being on this planet. Thank you for taking something so difficult and a generation of pain and changing the world.
Thank you. I fully receive that.
I mean, please do,
you.
because when I even heard your story before today, I was so moved and so blown away.
Mhm.
God bless you,
Thank you.
seriously. God bless you. And now we must make up a spiritual song.
Ooh, what's our spiritual song going to be?
I just want to say that I think you're amazing.
Ooh, I fully receive that, my baby.
Thank you for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having my fine ass.
Your ass is really fine. And it really was great to hear your story.
Yes, note. I don't know what else to say, but get your motherfucking healing, babe.
Get your motherfucking healing.
Hair flip. We gotta do a hair flip.
Hallelujah. Okay. If I could turn back time.
Yeah. If I could turn back time.
I love you so much.
I love you more.
And shout out to the Crystal.
Shout out to
Let's
my
hold the
Crystal.
together.
Yes.
This has been so amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
This has been so amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you. So are you. I'm just a reflection.
Thank
of
you, God, for Sharice. Thank you, God.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful.